representatives in October, and it is fully aligning American policy towards freedom, democracy, and everything we expect from American value system.
Okay, Mesai, when you started fighting your freedom fighting days in Ethiopia, what was the attitude of many of the Western nations? Has this always been the attitude, this fight for over terrorism and et cetera? And I understand, I can see it coming after 2000, but back in the 1990s, what was the attitude that most Western nations had in reference to your freedom fighting at that particular time?
Well, that time was really very different from now, because that time it was between imperialism and communism. So the communists came to my country, the Russians were there, the Americans were thrown away by the military and communist regime. So that time is that was an ideological war. It was a fight against ideology. I was fighting against communists because they were just killing people and throwing them on the street. But now is different. Now is different. Now, for example, if you compare Ethiopia and Kenya, Kenya is a very stable country and very peaceful country. From all over Africa. It was a very known, peaceful nation, democratic nation. Now this happened in Kenya. All of a sudden this happened. It's exploded and people are killed. The election, they say it is stolen. It is, as my brother said, it has been, they have been learned from Ethiopia's presently, because in 2005, about 26 million people come out to vote. It is the first time in Ethiopian history. Ethiopia was ruled by kings, so it was our first test of democracy, and they proclaimed there is a democracy. They tried to deceive the world there is democracy in my country, and when it comes against them, the democracy they open, they come against them because people come out and show. About 95–97% of the people voted against the present regime. That time, when people demonstrated, they stole the election. They took the election from all over the country, around the country. Then the people were angry. It was anger. So they demonstrated peacefully. That time they were killed by sharpshooters, young men, about 200 of them.
And of course, Dr. Negatu, when we come back, let's have you to think about, before we get into this final commercial break, let's have you to think about the idea of dictatorship and democracy, to the extent that now we are, at one time we were fighting dictators, and now we're fighting terror. Now, both of those are justifications for whatever the policies that we have, you see. Now, how do you see the difference between fighting terror and fighting dictators? Is there any great, and of course we're getting ready for our commercial break, and then I want you to address that when we come back, and we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. We're talking to Mesai.